Hey, we're live. It's slightly afternoon here on the East Coast, but it's Friday. I think it is November 14th or something like that. We're almost halfway through November already. Anyway, it's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I am Brent Leary. This is the Small Biz Breakdown, and as usual, we bring on our what I call them cohorts, crew, people, peeps. Well, let's see. What do they call it out in Oregon? Let's ask Leland. Hey, Leland.
Hey, I would probably say compadres, dudes.
Dudes.
I brought on the other dudes. But
No bros? No bros out there? Just dudes?
I don't use bros.
All right. Let's see what they do. Let's see. Oh, well, we're missing Ivana, but thankfully we have in the real heartland, apparently, since she doesn't like to call it the heartland, going to Gary, Indiana. You know who that's the home of. I mean, come on, man. It's the Jackson crew. But it is Pierre Dubois. Is it Dubois or Dubois?
I say Dubois. And if you're in Gary, you have to say Mama Sa, Mama Kusa. So
and then end it with a anyway.
Yep.
Right. How are things out in the heartland?
We had a little bit of snow this week, but it's been melting off the typical get a lot of snow from the lake and then melt in a couple of days. So, but we are in the middle of Thanksgiving, so we're not in that full holiday season.
It's starting to feel a little bit like Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
but until I get that first mouthful of turkey, it ain't there yet. But let's see what's going on in the nation's capital, because hardly anything ever goes on there. But we always are very glad and very happy to see the smiling face of Shashi Velamkonda joining us.
Hey everyone, good news. We are back in business again. The US government is open.
We needed some good news, didn't we? We needed some good news, and it feels like nothing has changed yet. But hey, it is open, so we'll be glad for that. We'll also be glad. I can't believe I'm saying this to see the bold one, the cold one. He is getting up there in age. Some people might call him the old one, but I won't. I'll just call him John Colder Ice Lawson, since our other buddy Ramon Ray is not with us today. So we go right to where's the cup? Where's the smug look as you drink into your cup of whatever it is? That's not the mug.
Ice water.
I don't think it's ice water either. I think it might be something else.
No, it's water.
Okay. Just want to make sure. It is kind of early to be
water.
Oh, it's sparkling water. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Well, as long as it's sparkling water, we're okay with that.
It's sparkling water from a can.
Nothing like that can of sparkling water you can get.
That's right.
Anyway, I want to take a little different tact today, mainly because I forgot it was noon and kind of snuck up on me a little early. But anyway, lots of stuff going on. By the way, looking at the stock market the last couple of days has not been a very pleasant experience. Things are going haywire there because some people are thinking we are in a bit of an AI mania, AI bubble. And one of the companies that I have done work with in the past and currently Oracle is one of those companies that people are kind of pointing to that are kind of worried about, is this an AI bubble? Because the amount of money they've committed to spend on doing their infrastructure build out with data centers all over the place, and it's mainly for AI. Seems to be like they're looking at doing that investment with debt financing, and that's probably a significant amount of money we're talking about, and that has caused some people to, I don't know, put a pause or just kind of like, is it really going to be as big as everybody is saying? Is it really going to be as big as a company having to go get billions, tens of billions of dollars to finance it? Is it really going to be worth it? Now, other companies are doing this too, but a company like Microsoft, they're just throwing the cash out at it. So so that's why it's not all these big companies that are causing this. It's kind of like, well, is it really should people really be going the debt way to finance this? Because it's going to be a big thing. That's what's going on. So that's why you're seeing the stock market's kind of that. And also I think it was the Fed governor in Boston kind of said, you know what? I don't want to lower any rates next time. And a lot of people have already factored in at least a 25 basis point decrease in the interest rates. Now you got one of these Fed governors saying, you know what? I'm not down with that. And I think it's spooky. So anyway, that's a lot of the financial stuff. And as Shashi did mention, oh, by the way, the government is not shut down anymore. So I guess that's something else that you need to take consideration. But anyway, as I ask you guys every week, how y'all feeling this week? Ramon can't jump in right now because he's not here. So whoever wants to go first.
I want to touch upon that Oracle part, Brent. I think there's a big lesson, I think, for small business owners about markets, and how you go to market plays into how people are perceiving how well you're doing something. I think with Oracle, they wanted to go, I think, and forgive me if I get the numbers correct, they want to go from 18 billion for 2025 to, I think by 2030 they expect to reach like 116 billion,
like a 10x,
6 billion,
something like that.
Yeah, it's one thing to make that target if you are in a market where you're selling the main thing. In other words, let's say that it's like, people have a growing demand for hamburgers, and Oracle happens to be the hamburger maker. Your investors can get behind that, rather than, I think for Oracle, it's this sort of, it leaves questions on how they're going to get to those steps. It should be clear to the people that you're dealing with as much as you are within your own team. And I think for small businesses, there's even if you're not doing stock and doing this thing with financing, sometimes people pick markets and think that they'll do great, but you are only selling, it's like we're going to do great on office supplies, but you're only offering paper clips. You're not offering something with a margin, or you're financed yourself so heavily that a profit is really at risk. And I think to the whole thing with the AI bubble, that's what we're seeing. Most people are, if you're questioning open AI, the Anthropics of the world, then you're definitely going to question an Oracle or an Intel, where they are looking at certain pieces of infrastructure, and here again, it's not the main pieces that are kind of they're important, but they're not really a driver or the sexy part of why people are investing in a market. And I think that's the challenge right now. I think that's why I think there's so much of a concern about bubble.
Shashi, it looks like you're itching.
No, I think I don't pay so much attention to the stock market, but I keep listening to stories of how small businesses are doing. So it's a very again, divided. Some of them are doing extremely well, some of them are not. And the ones that are doing very well seem to be in the luxury market.
The ones that are doing well seem to be in the luxury market?
Yes.
I guess all the rich people have the money to spend. So
yes, that's true. And the rich people also are looking at the stock market. But inflation, like whatever the official figures are, right? I mean, you can get breakfast for less than $9 nowadays, even in a fast food place. And a couple of years ago, it wasn't like that. So imagine how much you would pay for a meal in a restaurant if you wanted to go. But people are clearly not doing that. I remember the time in 2008 when I was working for Network Solutions. Suddenly the refrigerator would be full because people stopped going out because of the economy, and everybody started bringing their lunch home. So I think the similar thing that will be there, and I'm only talking about this. I don't know what advice to offer people with so much of unpredictability, right? You don't know if tomorrow, what's coming down the pike. And yeah, I wish there was a little bit more certainty and predictability across the board.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
know one other thing that I didn't somebody just post something about Wendy's, several Wendy's locations are going to close down because people aren't getting the biggie fries thing as much as they used to, and that's like a kind of a sign of maybe a sign of things to come. And then there was another one of those kind of things people are looking at as, well, if this happens, that usually portends this happening. And so there's a lot of things. And then when I think Pierre, you talked about the numbers, and I think maybe Shashi, you did too, like the numbers for inflation. We don't even know what they are because of the government shutdown. I think the administration said we might not even actually get numbers for October because of all the shutdown stuff. So we don't even have numbers. Not only numbers we can trust, we don't even have numbers. So I think that kind of adds to the level of uncertainty. But I digress, because I would like to see what's going on in Oregon with Leland.
So when it comes to this AI bubble, I mean, there's always going to be, I mean, when it came to the internet bubble of, the early 2000s and stuff like that, inevitably there were people that came out on top. And so inevitably there's going to be a company that will come out top. Will Oracle be able to pay back the billions of dollars that they've invested into that? Maybe. It's all about how many customers are you bringing in? Is your product going to be good enough to be able to entice people to maybe switch from another provider over to you, or pick you as their brand new, I'm a brand new customer business and I need to use their service. And that's a tough thing to do in anything. It's the hardest thing to do is to make a business change the software that they're using. Once they're in it, they're going to use it until it becomes extremely detrimental to themselves. And so that's not something that I would want to bet on. Basically, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to, quadruple our revenue because we're going to bring in all these people. I do worry about that. When it comes to this week and some of the news that I've seen, one thing that really stands out to me is the feds are looking at a way to make mobile mortgages. And that really caught my attention because I'm one of those people that got the really good interest rate.
Like what your
it's in the 3%. I can't remember, but it's like maybe up to the 4%. And I don't want to buy a house because I don't want to lose that interest rate. And it would be really nice if all, and the way that this works is that you can take your interest rate with you to a new house. Is
What?
the way that they're explaining it. And so it would be really nice to be like, oh yeah, I could just take my interest rate and not deal with the 7%, just take the 3.9 or something that I have along with me.
You know what? But why can't we do that? Because I remember when I first bought my house, within 30 days, I got this, and I bought it from some company. I can't even remember what mortgage company, quite honest, that I used. Because 30 days later, I got this notice saying, oh, your mortgage is now being serviced by Bank of America, because they sold it off. Why can't we do that? Why don't we have the option to buy a house? Oh, I'm just going to use this interest rate from over here. That would be kind of cool.
Or make it an open account where it's just like, because if you were to get a home equity loan, you have to do whatever rates out there right now. But it would be really nice to be like, well, I have an account with someone. Why can't I use that as a home equity loan? Just make my mortgage bigger under the same percentage rate. And then if I was one of the unlucky few that got the bigger percentage rate, then I could do a brand new mortgage at a lower one when it gets lower, and then just keep that throughout my life.
I'd love that, but Leland, that'll never happen. So, wake up, kid. It'll never happen. I love the idea. I don't think it'll ever happen. Let's go on to the guy who's already viciously shaking his head, rolling his eyes a little bit, hands completely folded, defiant mode. It is Mr. Lawson.
Not defiant.
You look defiant, man. Have you seen yourself looking like this?
That's because my hands are cold.
Oh,
sit in the office here. My
I mean,
hands
all that
get
cold, sparkling water, I guess.
I put them under my arms. But anyway, I don't remember what's the question.
I always ask it everyone what's going on. How are you feeling this week? Because
good.
oh, you do. Well, tell us why. That's just good.
I feel good. Anyway, I think Leland put out the cheeseburger index.
Was that you, Leland?
And wasn't that you to put the DoorDash index
Oh,
out?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, and inside of that, it had the cheeseburger index.
The cheese.
So now we have found out that Lincoln, Nebraska has the most affordable cheeseburger at $10.75.
That's the most
crazy.
That's the most affordable cheeseburger? Really?
Not the most affordable, but I mean, cheeseburger, which is burger, fries, soda combo,
okay.
$10.75, which is crazy because like California is almost twice as much,
Wow.
and it kind of goes to show that, the economy can be different depending on where you live. And I find it interesting how, we're finally coming to, I don't know, maybe we're having the great awakening. So I feel good because everybody's waking up. If you rewind the tape for at least, most of this year, I've been talking about AI has been in a bubble, right? And that this bubble's here. So now at least people are waking up to the bubble. I don't think it's bursting, but it's been a bubble. The other thing is I'm watching people talk about finally we're talking about the price of groceries being too high. Right?
Yeah.
Right? As if that's something new.
Hey, look, for
not
me,
new.
it is new because I usually go to the local one of the local Publix, and I buy the same thing every time I go. I buy a half pound of the Boar's Head, no salt added turkey. And for most of the year, it has been $14.49 a pound. I went and bought some yesterday, $15.99 a pound.
That's crazy.
And
it keeps going up.
That was the first one I saw like that.
Was crazy.
Yeah, but that was a really significant thing. And then I bought some other stuff. I'm like, damn, everything is actually now going up. I'm wondering why it took so long. But
here's the funny part: they'll be on the news now, and they'll be like, "Well, everything's not going up. What about the price of eggs?" Which is hilarious to me. Because the same people that are trying to use the eggs now were the ones that were throwing the eggs at people before. And everybody would say, bro, the eggs are expensive because we have a bird flu. But suddenly we forget that we had a bird flu. And now the eggs are cheaper. Yeah, stupid. Because it was the bird flu that made the eggs too high. I mean,
but that's not sexy. I mean,
I know it's not, but it's like, how do people get away with this on television? It drives me crazy. It's like, call people on the bull. Because I mean, it was just 8 months ago we were talking about it. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
With people, we just
By the way,
I guess we get bombarded with crazy.
Shout out to Martin Landeskog, a long time small business trends follower. I know that, right?
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Good to see him. Yep. So California, yes, Martin. California is a high tax place. Just to answer
25.20 in Chula Vista.
Ugh.
So you got 10.75 versus 25.20.
I was out there not that long ago, and I know like our current president said something like gas has come down, and he said it's only $2.50. Don't tell them folks in California it's $2, because I was seeing something that started with a 5 in front of it, which is
I think they pay like $3 a gallon in tax.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, they do. They pay a lot in tax.
In Oregon, it's like, I think just for Oregon tax, it's like 50 cents a gallon.
That is a damn. I'll never be moving out there. Anyway,
So I just want to add something here, like two things. Number one is that one of the cheapest things in California is rideshare because of Waymo and Uber is not
no humans.
I hope they're not listening to the show, in which case somebody's going to add some more taxes. The second thing is, you all heard about the proposal for a 50-year mortgage.
Oh, I was going to ask you guys exactly how many of you would want a 50-year mortgage?
Hell
No.
You know what?
I will say,
I'll take it.
I have a different opinion. Yeah, maybe.
I'm not gonna live 30 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, like if you were in your 20s and 30s,
No.
would you want to get a mortgage that'll take you to your 80s?
yep. And I'll tell you why. Because it's better than renting.
Mhm.
So if you get a 50-year mortgage, that locks you in right there into a payment. Now, if you're renting at the same time, rent goes up, your mortgage stays the same. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're the same amount. And then if, 5 years into your 50-year mortgage, you get into a better position, you got more money, and maybe interest rates are better.
Yeah,
You
but
refinance.
there's also going to be, I'm guessing, since there are 30-year adjustable rate mortgages, you'll have 50-year adjustable rate mortgages.
Now that would be terrible. And yeah, adjustable rate mortgages
That'd be
across the
horrible.
board are just garbage, hot garbage. No, I would not recommend.
And just
anyone
think
getting
about, and I think what you think about 50 years. Oh, then that means we're going to have a much lower monthly payment than if we had 30. But look at the amount of interest you'll be paying over that amount of time. You'll be paying way more, significantly more interest than over that span. And it doesn't make, I mean, all they're doing is saying, to me, kick the can down the road. It's not about the affordability. You're just spreading it out so it's an appearance of affordability. I don't think that's what people want.
I mean, there are always going to be pros and cons, but one of the cool things that I've seen, like even with my own mortgage, I got a 30-year mortgage. I have spent, 8 years paying off of it, and I've gone from $122,000 to $106,000. So, it's math. $14,000 or something like that paid off in 8 years. But I have $150,000 in equity that I've built. So if I were to sell this house, I'm not going to just get, $14,000 or, however much less after the real estate agents take. I'm going to take that equity of $150,000 that I've built because the
you still
price of my
can't buy
house has
another
increased.
house. And you can't buy another house because it's $300,000 now.
Yeah, but I still have that.
It's all wash, man.
Okay, let's say something were to happen to me and my kids were to inherit my house, but they've already got their house. I'm older or something like that. There's $150,000 in equity if they were to sell it, and then they get that.
Yeah, I mean definitely. It's better than renting.
Out of that,
anything's
better than rent.
Anything's better than renting. I'll agree with that.
I have to agree with Leland for a change. And here's my thinking. I mean, the 30-year mortgage is one of the best things that's available only in the US, I think. I believe when I talk to other people, they all have to redo their mortgage every period, right? Now, am I paying much more for my house because I have a 30-year mortgage? Absolutely. But if I wanted to afford the house that I'm in today, I'll be 90 years by the time I can actually buy a house, right? Without this kind of thing. So affordability wise, the longer your mortgage is, it's better. It's just like you wouldn't go buy a car for a 20-year car payment plan and pay 3 times, right? But you could do 2 things. Number one, I really agree with Aaron. If you still keep getting tax benefits, you have to account whatever your tax thing is, you're going to write off the interest. That's one. The second one is the amount that you save between a 30-year and a 50-year mortgage, you can actually pay back the principal much quicker. So it reduces the amount of interest you're going to pay over the third thing is your property is not going to remain the same, hopefully, unless you bought at a high and then the property goes, it's a risk you're going to take. So if your property doubles, then the interest that you're paying is actually equalized, or you may even turn out to be better depending on which market you are and what kind of property you buy, right? not a decision that you would take as like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. But if you're forced to make that decision, you could turn around and if times are better, go back to a 30-year mortgage, right? That's my take on this. Now, one thing that I know is if these rates and 50-year mortgages were applicable to rental properties, you create a lot of wealth for yourself if you have, because the rent is going to pay for more than the mortgage. And I've seen that work very well for a lot of people, not me.
That's a good point, Shashi. I didn't even think of that. And one of the cool things about mortgages is that if I wanted to take a 50-year mortgage and make it into a 30-year mortgage, I could do that all on my own. I don't have to ask the bank for permission. All I have to do is put in an extra $100 into my payment or $200. I don't have to ask the bank for permission. I could just do it. And then all of a sudden your payment goes down further and further. And then you can make it a 15 or a 20 or whatever you want it. And so if you're a business, you want to get property, I mean, get a 50-year mortgage, make it easy on yourself. I've had friends who did 15-year mortgages and it stresses the hell out of them. And they never after that, but get the 50-year mortgage and then pay what you can towards it, pay it down, and then, make it buy yourself a 30-year mortgage and then get rental properties and then do it.
Oh, guys, honestly, y'all need to literally pull out a calculator.
Yeah.
Honestly, y'all need to pull out a calculator. Because you make it all sound like it's just gravy. It's not all that great. I'm not saying it's I agree it's better than rent. Absolutely 100%. But let's say you're going to save $120 a month, but you're going to pay an extra $400,000 in interest over the time of that loan. The way you're just talking about how you built equity because of this amount of time, you won't have that equity in your home in that amount of time.
You get less equity when your mortgage is spread out over 50 years.
You pay all the interest at the beginning, and then you start building. So I mean, it's you got to pull out a calculator. It's a game, man. There's a reason why you can pay off a car in 8 years, and it take you 30 years to pay off a damn house. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
I want to add to John's point too a little bit. I think and kind of go back to what Brent had earlier asked, if we were younger, like starting out 20 or what have you, I don't remember anybody I ever met that honestly had planned to be in one place for 50 years. I think that plays into a large part of it. I think John is on right about the numbers. I think the challenge that you have for a 50-year mortgage is like John said, it could be better than renting, but by how much, if you're paying, there's more interest in there, there's more risk. And I think just from a personal standpoint, people don't always stay in one spot for, that whole notion of it. I don't think it's gone away entirely, but I think it's fewer people. People move because of jobs. So if you're trying to move or let's say if you want to go to grad school, then now you're dealing with, how do I sell off a house with a 50-year, mortgage compared to something else that may not be at that, that may not be able to be financed in that same way. It just becomes a different set of calculus, basically. And I think that part, gets missing when we extend the things out too far. We've seen this with cars right now, where you have a $50,000 car. 20, if you're trying to even put 20% down, that's almost $10,000 of amount, and then you start having payments. Most people are not going. That 10,000 is psychological. You start thinking about other things you would spend that on, i.e., a house. So I think the real challenge is not just I think with Trump, I think that his whole thing about the 50-year, I think is a little bit myopic, because most people now, I think the problem we really are seeing is making we're spending $1 on something, whether it's food, house, car, and things are priced such that you make these comparisons that we never had to do years ago. And I think it's harder to make a decision on things now. I think that's the part where people are frustrated in a certain way.
Hey, we're talking about cars.
I just want to send a real quick shout out to Aaron for joining us, and thanks for your comment.
Yeah. Talking about, these are all good points, right? Like I would go into if I could not afford a 30-year mortgage, I would go into a 50-year mortgage, not expecting to stay the whole 50 years. I'd probably at some point sell it off and hopefully come out equal, right? Like whatever money is left. Now, talking about cars, I mean, the unaffordability of cars nowadays, like the average has gone from like 22 or 23 to almost 42,000.
It's actually at 50.
And they've stopped the 50, okay, and they've stopped making cars that at the lower end.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's quite.
It just feels like with this 50-year, first of all, I kind of think he just threw it out there just to test the waters. He didn't really think about what it actually is, a 50, because that's like you're going from 30 to 50. That's 2/3 more of a time that you put out there. And once again, people, I think, average people are looking for affordability. I don't think they're looking for just to be able to pass it to an extra 20 years. I think they want to be able to afford something that traditionally you get traditional kind of things, a 30-year mortgage. Okay, if I can afford that, I'm good. If I want a $500,000 house and I have to get a 50-year mortgage to get it, you're not really playing the affordability game. You're passing it down to you say, okay, over more time, I guess we can pay this. I don't know. I'm cheap by nature, so I'll put that out there. I don't like paying interest for anything. I got a 30-year mortgage on my current house. I've been here like 26 years. 10 years ago, I was like, damn, I'm tired of this mortgage. Let me refinance and get a 15-year mortgage. And luckily for me, it went from 6 7/8 to 3 7/8 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like literally down to my last 20,000 of payments. I'll be so glad not to have a mortgage. You might hear me jumping for joy or seeing me and all that, because I don't want to have a 50-year mortgage and $500,000 hanging over my head for that amount of time. I want the freedom to say, okay, I'm paid. I own this. How many people are going to be actually say I own this after 50 years? I mean, they'll never be able to buy anything. Now, if you're going into a business, that's one thing. But I think most people want a home that they can afford, that will add to their wealth because it will go up in value. But to put 50-year mortgages on that, it's like I never got into the 6-year financing for a car. Because I hate interest. I don't want to pay it. I don't want to pay.
But
$1 million of interest on a 400 or on a 200,000 house. That just does not seem like the way to go.
But you know what's missing? What's missing is starter homes. See, when I was a kid, it's like I'm just teasing, but still, for real.
When they made them nice
It's like right where you just live in these log cabins. We had one room. But seriously, I'm driving down the street the other day. And I'm looking, I'm like, this house looks so weird, but it was one of the older starter homes, a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. That was a family home back in the day. Maybe you got a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 level. You know what I'm saying? What we call a home today for a startup is crazy. It's a lot.
I am seeing it. It's in my town. It's a little town, so it's not indicative of the nation. But I'm actually seeing some houses being built that are like 2-bedroom, 1 bath. They are cheap in comparison. So they're still about $270,000, but they're like 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and they got like a small lot. It's like you could touch your back door and the back fence. It's like a speck of a lot. It's small, but it's yours. It's a small little lot, but it's yours. And I think that, with that 50-year mortgage, I know that it's like, oh, so much interest and stuff like that. But if you can combine that with that kind of house with a 50-year mortgage, that brings in a group of people that may not have been able to afford a home. And then with that, their increases, their monthly increases stop. And that's the biggest benefit for the 50-year mortgage. Yes, you're going to be paying a ton of interest. yes, it's not necessarily the best aspect, but for them, if they wanted to live there for the rest of their life, it's in our small town, no one leaves. It sucks you in like a black hole. It's indicative of a lot of small towns. You just never leave. That's why Pierre has never left Gary, Indiana. He's just
Damn.
I'm joking. But
Michael
and that's
Jackson
why
did.
and that's why I've not left. I mean, it's a small town, but if you're like that and it's just like, well, I'm going to be here, then it's like, okay, well, now I have a payment of $1,200, and in 20 years, I don't have to worry about a $3,000 monthly payment. It's just right there. And even if you don't move to a 30-year mortgage, that right there is a huge benefit for people who are lower income, who may not have the, maybe a blue collar job that doesn't pay necessarily the best. They know that for the next 50 years, barring any increase in
Taxes,
taxes, homeowners insurance, their payment is cemented.
Yeah,
and that to me is like the best thing about that.
That you're right. That's probably the best thing about it. But the not good thing is, you look at that. When I remember, my hands started shaking, I started sweating when I had to sign my, the sale agreement, and I saw the amount of interest I was going to have to pay versus how much was the house. I almost like fainted. I was like, I got to pay. This is what.
That little box you totally overlook. That one little box. It's like the total payment amount.
I'm like,
it's
hell no.
And another cool aspect that I think is that, say, when I was in my 20s, I couldn't afford to get into the housing market. And so I had to wait, and I waited and I waited, and prices kept going up. I kicked myself because there were like $60,000, $70,000 houses that I was looking at, but I just couldn't get into them. And I might have been able to with a better, with the 50-year mortgage. But if I have to become better established, if I need to be making more money to be able to get into that, then all of a sudden the pricing is going to just keep going up, and it may still price you out 5 years down the road when you're trying again.
I guess the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. And to me, the uncertainty of being locked in for something for 50 years is rather scary. I mean, 30 years is bad enough. I'm down to like less than 2 years to pay my house off. And I'm not looking forward to, all right, now I got this one paid off. All right, let's see what I can get now. No, I just want to be let alone.
I think John gave some good advice.
Said no one ever.
Take out your calculator, because everybody's situation is different, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
If you want to put 100% in, and by the way, I'm not a financial expert or an analyst, so please consult your financial analyst before you take any investment decisions.
Nice non-disclaimer there.
Yeah, but in my opinion, like, you have to diversify your savings. First of all, you should plan for savings. I mean, it's a great habit my parents taught me and has helped me steadily. And I think if Joanna was here, she would say, like, whatever her formula is, save for a rainy day, right? So if you're thinking about like, hey, I'm going to invest X amount in the stock market, X amount in this, and I need to diversify by having real estate, then you decide what is good for you. Paying rent, buying a house. When you're buying a house, can you afford a 15-year mortgage? Great, go for it, because the overall cost of it is going to be less. But if you want some discretionary income, then choose the next best option. The fundamental problem that I've seen analysts say about the housing cost is not the cost. It is the shortage of housing. Just like Leland said, everybody who got a very small mortgage small interest rate, less than 3%, they're not going to leave their house because it's cheaper than buying another house or going to rent. So, which means there are not many houses in the market. So, the 50-year mortgage is not the solution. But I just thought we'd bring it up because it was an idea, right? Like whether it's going to be implemented or not.
All right. let's do this. It's actually been really fascinating. But let's talk about kind of getting back to the using debt to buy whatever you need because you think it's gonna a big pot of gold is at the end. And I need to get some money up front to get to that big pot of gold. I like to call this, my gold rush kind of example, as John likes to hear me talk about this so much. So, have you ever, either personally or for your business, seen such a huge opportunity ahead of you? Like, it's like a can't miss kind of opportunity. You can see it, you can feel it, you can taste it. But in order to do that, to do any of that, you're going to have to put some pretty significant money up front. What do you do? What's the most amount of money you have given to this idea, this can't miss thing that you almost have in your hands, but you just need that extra money to get to it? But when you get to it, you feel it's like, oh my God, it's the land of milk and honey. Has that situation ever happened to you? And what did you do? Did you go for it? Or did you say, I can't do it. I just can't. I know I can get it if I do it. I just can't let myself do it. But I can let myself say hello to Amber since she's here with us.
Hi, Amber.
Now, anybody want to take that scenario, please?
I can go first because this is a story that when this probably early 2000s, when Google was trying to figure out what kind of a company it wanted to be, I always thought, like, if somebody wanted some help figuring out how to search on Google, I was spending so much time on doing that. And then when they came up with ads, nobody was doing any ads. And so I tested it. This will be interesting, and I don't want to take too much time, but I tested it. I was an Amazon affiliate. So when there was like Hurricane Iris or something that was coming, I tested a coupon that I got and tested it. Not coupon, actually I spent $75, but the best $75 I spent in my life, because we're saying hurricane coming, buy Magic School Bus goes into the hurricane. And my $75 went like within an hour, right? So that's the best. Then I saw the next ad, hurricane coming, come to like some resort in Jamaica. So I said, hey, this thing really works. So I started doing a lot of arbitrage, meaning like I would be almost all the companies, and the companies didn't figure out like how to do Google ads. It came much later. So I used to, that was a thing that I was worried, and this was mostly nights and weekends business, where I would use my ingenuity in creating these ads. I'm talking about 2005, when Google ads weren't still a thing in a way, if my timeline serves me right. But I was spending a lot of my money with the ads, and it should work. People should buy through me, and I get like whatever 3 to 10% that they would give. And sometimes I would lose money. I'll give you another example of where I lost money is, do you all remember the Tickle Me Elmo doll? So
my house.
Yes.
So the NPR has a story in the marketplace around evening, like 6 o'clock. And I'm listening to it on the radio and says like, wow, this is going to be big. Let me find an online retailer who has this stock. So I start bidding on ads, and it's working very well as far as I can see, because after hearing that show, everybody is going online and saying, Tickle Me Elmo, where can I buy it? Somewhere in the middle of the night, they ran out of stock. And I lost like a couple of $1,000 because my ad was still running and they were going, right? But I had also the advantage, like whoever is the retailer, their people like went home at 5 o'clock and they didn't do any direct ads. So my ad was appearing quite well, right? So that is one example of where I thought like this is a unique opportunity. And I'll tell you, like whatever I made during those days till the whole world caught on to Google ads and agencies came in and Google got more better. I think it was a good investment of my time and the money. And my bank account sometimes would be like, hey, I'm minus X, Y, and Z. I mean, I would obviously get that money back, but it would take me time and I would have to worry about cash flow and everything. But I feel like AI is similar to that, except I think there's got to be a much narrower, hey, here's what I can help you do, right? That's what I can say. Thank you for giving me the time to share that story.
Now, let me piggyback and then I got to run because I have a Tickle Me Elmo story too. And the deal was we used to buy a lot of our inventory from electronic stores. So I used to flip CDs, blank CDs. So you'd buy they used to give me a free after rebate if you come into Staples and buy a tower worth of CDs. So I used to buy the CDs and break them up into packs, 5 packs, 10 packs, and we used to sell them on eBay. But at the same time, I had a lot of friends that worked at these stores. So when Tickle Me Elmo came out, like you said, it came out on the first drop in the fall and sold out very quickly. So I already had friends. I said, look, when they come back in again, let me know. And so I literally had a van full of Tickle Me Elmos. We went to all the stores around town and bought up all the Tickle Me Elmos. Then I had to hold them. I held them till 2 weeks before Christmas and then dropped them on eBay. And I was getting $250 a pop for a $30 doll.
Jeez.
And literally, I put the down payment on this lovely home I'm in with Tickle Me Elmo money. However, it was a total, it was a total risk. It was a total risk. Although,
how much did you spend overall? I mean, how much did you spend?
I probably spent about between 5 and 10 grand on Tickle Me Elmos, right? The one thing that I always said, though, was that, look, if these didn't turn out to be hot, I did have the receipt. So I couldn't go back and return them to the store. But, oh, man, we was killing them. We was knocking them upside the head. And they would just go up that high because it got to a point where there were none in store. And grandma would pay anything to have a
grandma. Damn, taking advantage of grandma.
I was kind of wondering if you were going to be driving around with a van and the kids.
White van.
like look, kid here. Man, me and this lady she wanted to beat me down because I'm walking out with a cart full. She's like, where'd you get? You just took all of them? I was like,
yeah,
hey, you should have got here early.
You are lucky you didn't get dropped because
I was about to get. I sold her one.
That was smart of you.
It was. She was about to cause a scene.
Because we know what them scenes. Do they still do that stuff like on Black Friday? People be waiting until like at 2 a.m. to wait for them things to open, and then when they open up, it's like a mad dash. They still do that stuff?
No,
not as much as they used to. It's not as bad.
Yeah, I think that with e-portals and that even purchasing through an app, it may be a little bit easier. So
you still do get those with like gaming consoles. I mean, PlayStation 5 came out, that was really hot and it was really hard to find them, and there was a lot of scalpers going on. And the Switch 2 that came out like a couple of months ago, it wasn't as bad because they had a lot of inventory, but it was still pretty hard to find it. And there were scalpers out there.
All right, so it looks like John's getting ready to roll. I do have a quick trivia question. Since we just talked about the shopping season, Adobe recently came out with a prediction about how much each person will additionally spend this year over last year's holiday season. Anyone want to take some guesses?
$171.
Okay, 171.
283.
283.
I'm gonna
60.
go
60. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go more like 80.
So we had 60, 80. Somebody said 161, and what did you say, Leland?
283 or something like that.
283. I don't have the stat in front. Well, I have it in front of me. Can't put it up on the screen. $132 more this year over last year.
Right in the middle of everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
I mean, I'm
Not
wondering.
for me.
Is it
I'm
mostly
spending less.
is it mostly due to inflation? Like we might be buying the same amount but costing more?
Could
I
be.
Yeah, I think inflation a little bit and not wanting to back down on the quality of the gift, I think is a big part too.
So I have no problem with that, but you know.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. I think we still are in the kind of the unknown phase because I mean, the government is just about to get back open, I guess. But these inflation, I mean, I don't know. Inflation is going to have I think it's going to have a much bigger say than we might think it's going to have for holiday season. I don't know why I think that, but I was shocked when I went into the market and I was like, everything is up significantly from like just last week. I'm like, wow. Are these tariffs are these companies that have been eating the tariff increases, are they going to be like, look, this is our last chance for the year to actually, make some money? Are they going to finally say, all right, we're going to have to make customers pay this thing now?
I was listening to the marketplace recently, and I meant to bring it up earlier. The tariffs have not affected the buying behavior in some ways because I believe the number of products that we buy from outside the US is not as big as what we buy within the US. I have to find the statistics and send it to you all, which I said, like, yeah, tariffs are affecting people. They're making these prices go up, but the impact is not as big as people thought. So it's mainly like whatever we buy outside of what we regularly buy every day, right? So that was very interesting. I should find that somewhere, even though it feels like the impact, like say, hey, everything comes from outside the country is the perception that we all have. But I think the big ticket items we are still buying locally.
I think that's that is very interesting, and I think that will factor. There's going to be some things that will increase and some things that won't. I do know that gas is going down. Like the price of oil, has gone down significantly, and that should soon reflect in like better gas prices. And in the biggest in a big contributing factor of a price of a product is transporting it from one place to another. So that could actually see a negative in certain, especially when it comes to domestic products, when you're wanting to get it from one side of the country to the next. That actually might reduce the amount of price when it comes to certain products, especially homegrown stuff.
Yeah, I think also this is going to be a year where we think about margins too. Everyone, here's what I mean by margins, not just like products or services, just in terms of, how are we saving money at things? There was a report that on CNBC, they were talking about, I think if you're making six figures, it doesn't feel like the middle class anymore. I mean, I've seen that pop up more than a couple of times. And it's this whole notion that, yeah, you're taking money in, but you're spending it on so many things cyclically that it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the reward that you think. I think while that was aimed at consumers at that price, at that income point, I think we're all at whatever segment we are, whether we are small business owners, industrialists, we all see something within our financial picture where, yes, we're taking money in, but we are, how is it being done? And even with Oracle that we talked about earlier, that's the same type of thing. You're aiming this projection, but investors like, how are you going to get to that? I think this year we're going to be thinking way critically about this, and we're going to see this because we're seeing hints of it now. I think it's going to continue, and I think things like with the tariff are going to keep prodding us to think, to be more creative about how are we spending. I'm not saying more creative like, you need to work hard or that there's something that you're doing necessarily wrong. It's just it's making everybody adjust and rethink about what is it that we're spending on.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I mean, it's been a pretty wild ride this year so far when it comes to the economy, and it feels like we're about to go on another ride. And I'm kind of pointing to that. Everybody had factored in all these interest rate cuts, and it feels like those things that people really thought were basically guaranteed to happen, not so much anymore. Look at that. I think I saw where this December 25 basis point rate cut was at one, like a month ago, like a 85 to 90% certainty. Now it's down to 49%. And if they don't cut, I don't know what that's going to do to people, because certain things that were kind of baked in might not be baked in. And we don't like uncertainty. We almost like knowing, even if it's a bad news situation, more than we want to deal with an unknown situation. And I feel if they don't cut the interest rates, that puts us back into the kind of the uncertain, chaotic kind of environment where you'll never be able to get comfortable with anything. So I don't know. We're on a weird roller coaster ride, it feels like. I don't know anybody that feels comfortable right now.
No.
Wow, it's such a beautiful note to end on a lovely sun-filled Friday afternoon. Oh, let's do this before we end. Anybody have anything to end on a positive note?
Is that me?
Anybody? Oh,
yeah, I'll post the link here. The positive note is like tariffs haven't affected people all that much. And that's the story which is there.
Why tariffs cause prices to rise haven't caused prices. Let me just try that again. Why haven't tariffs caused prices to rise much?
That's very funny, because this shows the power of search, right? When you search and say like, hey, I heard about this story in the last 2 weeks, and this was the story. How you get the URL that goes to the exact spot on your website and then adds it to the URL, so you don't have to go and start doing it yourself. The other thing that's not related to your question is Google has actually started, if you click on a link from Google, instead of the original URL, it says share.google.com. Haven't heard people talk about it much, but that's a great way for Google to track who's going where without the need for cookies.
That ain't exactly the good news I was looking for there, but Pierre or Leland, you got anything?
I mean, despite tariffs and everything like that, I mean, no one's really throwing out recession or anything like that. So until we get people who are like scared to death of recessions, and I mean, we were at a point, just years ago where the economy was so bad that was thrown around quite a bit. But at least in what I'm seeing, that's not being thrown around. So to me, as long as we're not in that sector, we're doing all right.
I will say this: the latest poll out from, I think, AP on whether the current administration is handling the economy. Do you think they're handling it well? Only 33% said yes, and like 64% said no. So I don't know, factor all that stuff in, but Pierre, anything? I don't want to go back down the wrong way. Pierre, any positivity? Please. From the heartland, there's got to be some positivity.
I would say the thing I think, particularly for small business owners, that still remains positive is I have not seen. I know that we had a reduction in conferences after COVID, but I'm seeing the same volume of people saying, "Hey, call for papers. We're looking for people to come speak." I think that's a good sign, because it means two things. It means if you're a speaker, obviously, is that there's opportunities to speak, but it also means people are not. People are still investing in the events to come together, and the ones that survive, people are still coming forward for that. So I think if you're a small business owner, stay positive about that, because those are opportunities to talk to people, network, and find out other things are going on that can keep you moving forward. Now, how's that for positivity?
And on that note,
Thanks, Amber.
yeah, Amber, let me pop that up. These people will show you it's a recession and tell you everything is great. Oh, all right. I'm
Not
gonna.
talking about us, right?
I gotta find another thing to end so we can end up. It's beautiful outside. And on that note, thanks for all the comments. Once again, we seem to be getting more and more. Should I say interesting, or maybe not only interesting, but just expanding what we think about and talk about when it comes to small business, because I think it's a good thing when we're able to kind of talk about things that maybe in the past years, maybe small businesses weren't as tuned in and maybe didn't even feel like they needed to be. I think that's changed. Maybe, I don't know if it's because of all, the recent hullabaloo, but I think small businesses really need to be a little bit more aware of some of these things that maybe they don't think there are initially or in their complete control, but it has so much impact. And more and more of these technologies that allow information to get to a bigger amount of people in a smaller amount of time, they have a bigger impact than maybe some of the things that happened in the past. And I think it's really important for small businesses even outside the bubble to at least be aware of some of this stuff, because it is affecting their communities, like where these data centers are getting put and what kind of energy draw it's going to impact. These things I don't think they didn't have to, or they didn't even want to think about before. But I think you got to push past that and at least be aware of some of this stuff, because you might not think it's impacting you, but it's probably having a more significant impact than you imagine it could. So I like that we're able to have those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Cool. Have a great weekend, everyone. This was interesting.
All right. Great weekend. We will see you next Friday. Can you believe it's only like 2 weeks from Thanksgiving? Man.
Yeah.
I already got my bird ready to go.
There you go, Leland. It's still time.
Are you already getting it fried? You going to fry the turkey, or?
I smoke my turkey.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
We have to hear a little bit more about that next week or something. All right, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Bye.